Welcome. Bloody welcome.
Sunday chat!
No, not yet, Paul. It's like a wild animal. Control yourself. Welcome, and it's all back to normal now, isn't it? We're here on the sofa. Sort of. Well, we're here on the sofa. It's summer. It's hot and sticky. And it's time for
Sunday chat!
You burned yourself out too soon, Paul.
Yeah, story of my life.
You peaked too soon.
Yeah.
Welcome and thank you for tuning in. And yes, it is back to Sunday on the sofa for our lovely chat.
I got an itchy under kneecap.
Oh, I thought you were going to say something else then, Paul.
Oh, it's gone now. Yeah.
I've got dry lips. I'm going to need Vivi Balm in a moment.
Oh, there it is. It is to hand.
So let's just say ding.
Ding dong.
Ding dong. Tinkety tong.
Oh, dearie me.
That's thrown me off now.
Oh, it just takes a little dong to throw him off.
Or a small clock.
Yeah, or a small clock, yeah. You have to be careful how you say that.
Why?
Yeah.
Everybody knows what I meant. Anyway, so, yes, we'll get on to why we weren't here last week in a moment. But first of all, let's kick off proceedings with Rich and Paul's weather report. What's the weather been like this week?
Hot and sticky.
Oh, it is warm.
And humid at points.
Well, it's very humid at the moment. I mean, I've just walked up and down the stairs once, and I'm sweating like a
sweaty person.
Something in a something. A vicar in a brothel.
I think a vicar would be quite okay in a brothel, wouldn't they?
Well, I don't know. It depends on whether he has any deep desires.
Yeah, I love that, Father Ted episode where they're stuck, all the group of vicars are stuck in the women's lingerie department.
Oh yeah, they can't get out.
Yeah, they can't get out. That is such a brilliant scene, that, yeah.
It is.
That whole, in fact, so much of Father Ted is fabulous.
We were talking about Father Ted the other day, weren't we?
Were we?
Yeah, the episode where...
oh yes, yeah, the black mark on the window.
Well, that's just part of it. It's the whole thing making out that he's a racist. We hear you're a racist now, Father. Are we all to be racist now? And there are several things that happen that kind of conspire to seemingly show him as a racist, and he's not. But it's a very funny episode. Very funny.
Yeah. I love the bit where he explains about the small and big, and that the small cow is just the same size, but it's far away. When he's doing that in the caravan, I love that bit. With Tadoogle.
With Tadoogle?
Yeah, he was explaining Tadoogle about the...
Tadoogle?
Yeah, Tadoogle.
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 Oh, it's a bit of a Tadoogle.
That sounds a bit like Mrs. McCarthy.
Oh, Mrs. McCarthy and Father Brando. We just love her. I love Mrs. McCarthy. Favourite character. Anyway,
as you may have noticed, this is a completely religious episode where we're all talking about priests and vicars.
Shush now, Paul. Ooh. Anyway.
What was that?
I don't know what's happening anymore. I don't know who I am or where I am or what's going on. It is warm, sticky and hot, and as you can see I've developed a small tan, which is making me look like some farm labourer.
Oh, I'll come on to him whinging.
Yes, I mean...
later in the...
Anyway, so yes, hot and sticky, summer has arrived, sultry, 28 degrees, blah blah blah.
Very still at moments, quite breezy at other moments. Yeah, it's a June British summer.
Oh, Alexa, could we have a 15-minute timer, please?
15 minutes, starting now.
Don't want the camera to overheat. We are rolling, aren't we, Paul?
Yeah.
Lovely.
Yeah.
Let's get the book.
Yes, let's.
So,
Oh dear. Yeah, we've done weather. And what's it going to be like? I have no idea. I haven't looked ahead
it's
at the
going
weather.
to be cool next week. It's
Oh,
going
is
to
it?
drop down to like 22, 23, which is my ideal temperature.
I got the tomatoes in yesterday, so actually I'd rather it was 25, 26 going upwards of there, because what are you doing?
My lips are dry.
Gosh, honestly.
Just get on with it.
It looks as though they're all Botoxy and things. Is that what they do?
Well,
Is they
I
pump
don't
them up?
know. I might need some of that soon. Might have to dip into my savings and have a face job. Oh, it's all soft.
What, at the age of 39?
Yes.
Yes, so it's going to be cooler. Oh, right, well,
Yeah.
That's okay.
It is. It's going
I'm
to be cooler.
sleeping fine at the moment, though.
Oh, now my
Even though
nose
it's
is
sort of-
running.
Oh, honestly, living with him, honestly, it's always something. Something happens, and then you do something to stop something happening,
Oh,
and then
shush
something
now,
else happens.
Paul. Nobody's interested in what you've got to say about
No,
me.
I don't think.
So anyway, quick house update. Plenty more viewings.
Yes.
But there was a no-show this morning, but
Yes.
2 more booked for tomorrow, which is Saturday, because today's Friday.
Yeah.
Just to confuse matters.
And one of those viewings is a
It's
reviewing.
a second viewing.
Yeah, I was saying.
It's called a second viewing.
A second viewing.
It's not called a reviewing.
But they review
It's a
it,
second.
don't they? View it
No,
again.
it's a second viewing, Paul. Because then you wouldn't know whether it would be a third viewing, would you?
Well, that
You
would
kept
also
calling
be
it
a
a
reviewing.
It would be a re-reviewing.
Yeah, but exactly.
Or a
And then we could say that there
re-reviewing.
have been reviewings.
Shush now.
Yeah.
Kakalaka. Oh, the window's open. We'll hear the people.
There are people. We do live around people. Yeah, and people live around us.
Yes.
So yes, there's been quite a few more viewings, and there's a few more coming next week as well.
Are there? Has
Yes.
he booked them in?
Yes.
You haven't told me that.
It's in an email.
I've not been copied in on the email, Paul, because you keep forgetting to do that.
I copy you in. Yeah.
So, all good. No further news as yet. We
No.
will keep you up to date as and when required.
And somebody was asking, have we found a house? No.
Well, I've got a list.
He's got a list. I'm not really looking. Until we have an offer on this,
Can't really do anything about it
you know,
anyway.
Yeah.
So,
But as soon as we do have an offer which is acceptable, then we will be going and have a look at a few houses. Yeah, won't we? Yeah.
So, the reason we weren't here last weekend was we had a few days in Guernsey, which was really lovely. We stayed in private accommodation that was offered to us by some friends,
Yep.
and that was great, absolutely fantastic.
Nice and relaxing
It
as well.
was very nice and relaxing and lovely, absolutely lovely. But the reason we didn't do the live show was because we didn't get home in time, because our 1:15 flight from Guernsey to Southampton on the Sunday was cancelled, leaving us with no way to get home, or so we thought. We were told by Aurigny ground staff that the only possible way to get home would be to purchase new tickets on the Blue Islands flight
Yeah.
at 4 o'clock.
So basically it's a code share. So Loganair, which is a Scottish airline, Aurigny, which is a Guernsey bailiwick airline, and Blue Islands, which is sort of Guernsey based, Channel Island based, they code share, and Blue Islands were flying, they were the ones that were flying the planes, and we just happened to be booked via Aurigny onto them.
So anyway, the upshot of it was that we were under the impression that the only way we could get home would be to buy new tickets on a different flight. That's what we were told.
Yeah.
And we just said to each other, well, we're going to have to do it because we need to get home.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because we had viewings booked for the following day.
Yeah.
Which is important,
and
clearly.
Other things going on as
and
well.
other commitments.
Yeah.
But luckily we both booked the Monday off. So anyway, we grudgingly and rather angrily...
But also, the other thing is no accommodation was offered, no compensation was offered. We were just told that the only way we could get back to Southampton, which is our home airport, where we fly from regularly, was to book these extra tickets.
And they turned away several people. A couple of old couples said, oh, well, we're going back to my sons and we're going back to my daughters. And so people left the airport. We decided we had to get these tickets to the tune of quite a lot of money.
Well, 350 quid.
Basically. I thought it was 387 quid.
350 quid, I think it was. I don't know, it was expensive.
It was expensive. And so we went through to departures. You know, you've checked in, done all of that. There was a bit of a debacle with that as well, but hey-ho, we got through. And then we noticed about half an hour later that there was another flight at 4 o'clock. It said 4 o'clock, Southampton, Southampton. So we inquired, only to be told that this was a rescue flight that had been laid on to get people back to Southampton. As you can imagine, we were fuming. Paul had a conversation with Aurini, which wasn't particularly helpful.
Well, she was very pleasant. She was absolutely pleasant, but...
there was no result from it, was there?
Because we'd already bought other flights, which couldn't be refunded, because the refund ones were more expensive yet, there was nothing that could be done. So, yeah.
So, we then witnessed this 4 o'clock flight, board with about 5 people and 1 bag, because you can see all of this happening in front of you at the airport. And then it left before our flight. We were fuming. Our flight was full, and it was a perfectly fine flight, but we were left waiting for hours, fuming because we had to pay for tickets that we couldn't afford, and also annoyed because there were no apologies, no announcements.
There was
nothing.
The carrier that we had booked through basically absolved themselves of all responsibility, or that is what we were told on the day at the desk.
Yeah. So it was a bit of a nightmare, but you know, you get on with it, you deal with it. We're lucky that we've got savings we can dip into for an urgent situation like that.
Yeah.
But it was a pain in the backside. But we're not going to go on about it any further because...
Well, we are.
Are we?
Yeah. So I have waited. Richard's been saying to me, are you going to write a letter? Which I've said I'm going to write. I'm just waiting till the end of the week, which is like today, for that refund of the flight to come through automatically. Because I don't see why we should have to contact them to get a refund for a flight they A, haven't put on, and B, we haven't been able to fly on.
Yeah.
So I'm waiting for that to come through. But you know what? I'll be sending a letter in the next couple of days. Yeah, guaranteed.
Anyway, let's put that one to bed, because it was a source of stress, frankly. Anywho, so Guernsey was lovely.
Yeah.
We saw Mum.
Several times. So each day we saw her that we were there. We went out, we had coffee, we had walks. So it was really nice.
Weather was lovely. Forgot to take sunblock, hence the tanned arms. You know, in Victorian times, it was very frowned upon to have a tan because that showed that you were a manual labourer.
Oh right, yeah, out in the open. Yeah.
You'd have been frowned upon, Paul.
I think I'm frowned upon now.
You only have to look at the sun and you turn brown.
Yeah, a bit like that. My brother's the same, my dad is the same as well, was the same. Yeah. So, yeah.
I have to use several different types of product and restrict exposure over the course of a 2-week period. in order to get any kind of tan. And then within a week of that holiday, it all washes off.
Yeah. It vanishes.
Yeah, I think as
You
I get
don't
older...
get a deep tan, do you?
No, I go a caramel.
Caramel. You go from a ghostly white to a
Yeah.
white.
I go from blue to white to pink to caramel.
I don't know where this caramel
That's
comes
caramel.
from. I
It's a
don't think
caramel
that's
colour.
caramel.
A pale caramel.
I think that would be the palest caramel I've ever seen.
Well, it's not a chocolate caramel, it's a pale caramel. Anyway, let's move on, Paul.
I mean, it's not like a Twix, is it? You don't have a... that's more like Twix biscuit. You go biscuit, not caramel.
Biscuit? No,
Yeah.
that's not caramel, that's just burnt, dried leather.
Oh dear.
So, of course, this week is the summer solstice. And, of course, lots of things happening at this time of year. Glastonbury is currently on.
We've never done Glastonbury, have we?
We've been to Glastonbury quite a number of times.
But not to
In fact,
Glastonbury.
did you see I found that picture of me with blue hair at Glastonbury?
No, I didn't.
Well, it's on the desk. How
I
can you
didn't see
not
it.
have missed it, Paul?
I haven't seen it. I think I ignored it. Yeah.
I might put it in.
Oh,
Here.
we'll do that. Yeah.
Short blue hair
Yeah.
at Glastonbury. Now, going to Glastonbury Festival for me would be like a complete and utter nightmare.
And me. Yeah.
No.
All those sort of toilets.
No.
Well, the people. Too many people.
I mean, it's massive. I would like to catch up with a few of the acts, though. I'd like to see Toya, and I'd also like to watch The Pretenders.
But you can do that on television.
That's what I
can't you?
mean. I enjoy watching the highlights on television.
So I'm sure they'll have Toya and the Pretenders on.
I'm sure they will.
Yeah.
They
But
better.
they must. I mean, they usually have. Isn't it on loads of different buttons on the BBC for Glastonbury and things? I don't know.
I have no bloody idea at all. Anyway, so lots of things happening because, you know, this is the only time we may get decent weather.
Well, we
Isn't
normally
it?
have decent weather through to August, don't we?
Well, I don't know.
We
July
normally
can
do.
be a washout.
It can be, and we can have those really strong winds in July as well. But the temperature generally tends to sort of keep up through August. But what
The temperature does, Paul, but
Yeah, the
does
temperature.
the rain hold on?
Well, no, I just said it can be. You said it can be a washout. I said there can be lots of wind.
Apparently there is rain on the way next week for many,
That is okay by me.
especially in the northwest.
Oh, well, yeah.
Yes.
I quite like some down here.
Well,
But the other thing with the solstice is we sort of have dawn and dusk at the same time, don't we, for a few days? And then the days start shortening.
well, yeah, we're on the downward spiral now.
I mean, that's, you know, and for many plants, this is the moment where over the coming week they trigger that
Yeah.
the days are getting shorter.
Yeah.
So particularly with things like onions and garlic, they sort of start maturing because they know the days are getting shorter.
Isn't it funny?
It's amazing. It's amazing.
It is, isn't it?
Considering they don't have brains, you know, it's just all natural. I mean, I was also watering the verbascum the
Well,
other
I'm glad
day.
they haven't got brains, because if they had brains, they wouldn't be vegetarian, would they?
Well, no, but they're sort of so evolved. So I was watering the verbascum, and I was also watering some of the brassicas. And of course, as I was doing it, the water was sort of funneling down the stem. And I was just thinking, you know, it's amazing how these plants, you know, because of they collect rain and they funnel it down their stems. And there's other plants that don't like lots of water, like lavender and rosemary and things like that, and they don't have that mechanism to funnel water down their stems. It's quite amazing how different plants develop for their own, you know, the needs that they have. I think it's fascinating.
It is.
Yeah.
Lovely.
Might do a segment on a week at the plot on that.
So yes, so lots of things going on. Did we miss the hootie? When was the hootie?
There wasn't a hootie this year.
Wasn't there?
No, they're having a break this year, but there was a...
Alexa, please stop.
But the Hanwell Carnival, they did have a mini hootie.
Was
at
that last
Carnival.
weekend?
That was last
We
weekend.
missed that,
we missed it
didn't
because we were away.
Yes,
Yeah.
what a shame.
Well, I normally attend because the Allotment Association normally has a stand there, but we decided not to this year, simply with all the work that is needed to make sure it happens. With me, with the house, sale potentially going through at that point when we had to decide other people's time commitments as well, it just wasn't going to happen this year. So
I
we
don't
didn't
like
attend.
things like that. I don't like crowds of people.
Well, we don't. Neither of us like crowds of
No, I
people.
don't like
No,
it.
No.
Makes me feel anxious.
Mm.
And I can do without any extra anxiety in my life at the moment.
But many tens of thousands of people really enjoy the Hanwell Festival each
Yes.
year. Yeah,
It's very popular.
it is absolutely
Lovely. So yes, we're at the height of summer, aren't we?
I didn't see anything about the summer solstice at
Stonehenge?
Stonehenge.
I did.
No,
Well,
did you?
You didn't look hard enough.
Oh, I didn't. It didn't come up on my timeline.
So let's
I don't
move
think.
on. So, talking about events and summer, you've got a gate sale, Paul.
We do. We're having a
Now,
gate sale.
What does it mean, a gate sale? Are you selling gates?
No. We are opening up the gate of our allotment tomorrow, and we're going to be selling plants at our gate sale. So that's on Saturday, so by the time this comes out, it'll have happened. But the Fox pub, which is opposite, as many of you watch A Week at the Plot may know, they have an artisan market once a month. So we're sort of tying in with them, and they're having the artisan market, which will draw people, and of course we're having the gate sale, which we hope will draw people, and hopefully some people coming to us will go to the artisan market and vice versa.
Well,
So,
it's ideal time for people to buy plants,
It is,
isn't it?
I mean, it's the reason that we have always done the Hanwell Carnival, because the sort of middle of June going towards the end of June, there's usually plenty of bean plants, plenty of squash, cucumbers, tomatoes, flowers as well, that can be put out and they'll come to fruition.
But I noticed that you'd had problems with your borlottis.
Honestly, yeah, in A Week at the Plot,
Why?
I talk about it. I don't know.
They've just not come up.
It's a pack that I've had for some years, but they've been in the fridge in an airtight container.
No.
But I don't know how long we were sent them, and the person that sent them to us was sent them herself.
Maybe just not viable.
They may
anymore.
just be too old, and they may have been, sort of heat really doesn't help in storing seeds long term. So if they've been kept in a shed for many years, that might not help. But anyway, I planted a whole load of borlotti because I thought they will be up in time and there'll be little plants that we'll be able to sell at £1 for 4, something like that. But no, not a single one has germinated yet. And I sort of don't think any will. Famous last words, of course, but certainly if any do, they won't be available for the gate sale. But when I was down at the allotment yesterday, there was plenty of other plants that had been put onto benches in the shade that people were watering for the gate sale tomorrow. So fingers crossed. And that's, of course, to raise money for the Allotment Association. Yeah. So yeah, I'll let you know about that in A Week at the Plot next week.
Caramel. Anyway, so in the news this week there's been that awful story that those poor millionaires in the imploding Submersible. Anything like that is horrific.
It's a tragedy.
Just horrific. But one did wonder about that. when they said they were going down in that, and there were questions about safety and all the things they had to sign, the waivers and all of that. I mean, somebody said, well, why wasn't it on a little string so that it could be pulled back?
Well, that wouldn't have helped with an implosion, would it?
No,
anyway?
I know, but
No.
just...
Because you can't get can you get a 2 mile? Because it's like Titanic is like 2 miles down.
It just makes me feel... I mean, the whole thing about that was just scary in itself. But my heart goes out to the families, but they must be bloody angry. I'd be angry.
Yeah, I'd be angry, but I, what's a life worth? You've got 5 lives lost on that, where all of those resources suddenly, galvanised from countries all around the world, including Jersey. Something went from Jersey, I noticed, to find these 5 people, who'd paid £250,000 to be on this thing, out of choice, knowing the risk. Then you've got 500 people on a boat in the Mediterranean fleeing persecution, famine, sexual oppression,
blah, blah, blah.
and hardly a word is mentioned when they drown.
I know.
500 people,
it's crazy,
not
isn't
5, who knew the risks.
And actually...
500.
And actually, those resources are then taken away from other situations that potentially need them.
Absolutely.
So yeah, it's an interesting conversation, isn't it?
I mean, I do genuinely think that, if people have got 250,000, they've most probably got 500,000 or 1 million. And I think anything like this, where it's a private venture, they should have backup to be able to rescue themselves privately
organised backup,
rather than calling on the resources of governments of the world to rescue.
But I mean, going down to the Titanic, I mean, just the thought of that makes me feel ill.
Well, you hate any... I mean, he always hates
I won't
seeing
watch.
a hull
no.
in water, coming towards him and things. So that would never be something that you would do. But I can understand if you've got plenty of money, you've got the resources, you might want to do that. But these companies, they should have...
Finish. You just got across me.
Backup.
Going down to the Titanic at that depth is the kind of equivalent of going into space.
Absolutely.
In terms of not being able to be rescued.
Yeah,
Do you know what I mean? It's like when people go up, it's like if anything goes wrong, that's it. Apart from Apollo 13, that managed to, cobble together the equipment needed to survive.
But that was different, wasn't it? That was government organised, state organised. It was NASA.
Radio communication possible.
Yeah, it wasn't a private venture.
But that's what I mean about having a string, having an umbilical, to the depth. Surely they could have sorted that out.
I don't know. I don't know.
Which would have provided some way of coming back up. I don't know. I don't know. Interesting. It's all interesting. The rich tapestry of life and the things that go on.
The tapestry of life of the rich compared to everybody else. Yes.
Also, the interest rate situation.
It's
driving everybody absolutely bonkers at the moment.
I mean, it is completely insane. The thing is, the UK is a mess. I wouldn't use a word that begins with F, but I won't. It really is a mess, and we now have interest rates being put up because it's a mechanism that the Bank of England have to drive down inflation. But the problem is that the interest rates are being hiked at such a speed that anyone who has a mortgage or is paying rent, because rents are going up as well, because landlords are having to put their prices up because their mortgages are going up, so, and they can only put it up once a year. They can only put it up once a year. So people are wanting now more money in their wages to pay for the hike in interest rates of their mortgages and their rent. You know, we've seen ours go up with the latest hike. Our interest has gone up 3 times from what it was. It's gone up from about 350 to like £1,100, a month. You know, which when people are talking about the cost of living crisis of, you know, pasta going up in price and, you know, heat and all of that going up in price, it just makes that seem nothing when suddenly you have to find another, you know, £800-900 more a month, because that is what's happened over the last 18 months with the creeping interest rates. Yep. You know,
it's not working very well for us at all.
No, and for many people, many people,
yeah.
Hey ho, what do you do?
There we are. Make more YouTube videos.
Well, I think
we're going to have to. We're going to have to.
You know,
because we need to start earning more money to pay for our life. Basically, I don't know whether I'm going to have any option of having more work. I don't know.
Anyway,
I don't know.
Yeah,
I have to see what happens. So we just have to use our time more effectively and work harder. Basically, that's what the government want us to do.
Absolutely, the government want people
to work harder,
to earn more money, to pay more tax.
And of course, those people following their dreams of, you know, in early retirement, the people over 50 who decided to, you know, cut down their hours and retire early, like me, are having their dreams dashed. Yeah, it's really not working.
Hey ho.
And actually, somebody said it, you know, the people right on the lower end get help. The people with lots of money don't need help. But very often it's the people in the middle.
Well, it is the squeeze middle. It's always the squeeze middle.
Are being squeezed.
And the thing is,
you've just got just enough money just to scrape by on.
Yeah.
But you're just scraping by. And if anything happens where you should need to draw on reserves, it will basically wipe out all your savings, your life savings. Because, to be honest, if this continues, that's what we're going to have to be doing. Our life savings are going to have to be used to pay for our monthly monthly outgoings.
The disappointing thing for me is that I was hoping maybe in about 3 months' time we could afford to be able to go back and see Mum. But this additional £100 a month, and of course that may continue, you know, interest rates may rise again next month, that puts going back and seeing Mum in 3 times out. You know, we just won't be able to afford it. So hopefully in 6 months' time we'll be able to go back.
Well, we'll see what happens.
Yeah. We might win the lottery.
Oh, can't afford to do the lottery.
We don't do the lottery.
Well, I do occasionally, but certainly can't afford to do it weekly.
Well, we do have some savings in premium bonds, or I do. So, you know, there we are. We'll see. Maybe we'll win the premium bonds next month.
Who knows? We need a miracle, frankly. But hey, we're not destitute.
No, we're not.
We're not asking people for money.
No,
Please
we're not.
Don't.
Oh, good God, no.
No. We are getting by. It's a struggle, but we're getting by. So please don't send us money. Thank you.
But if you've got a spare million...
Yeah,
then,
if you want to adopt us...
Yeah, absolutely.
That's fine.
Yeah.
I'm available because I'm a complete orphan.
You are?
Yeah. So I'm available for adoption.
I think your sisters might be available for adoption at £1 million as well. Yeah.
Your point is?
All be orphaned together. Not orphan adopted together, yeah. Package lot maybe. 2.5 million for 3?
Well, I mean, you know, I'll do other things for money too.
You have to look at OnlyFans.
I think seriously we need to do a porno on OnlyFans, Paul.
Oh, there we are. Yeah.
No, I feel slightly ill thinking about that.
I think I'd fill so much of the screen that nobody would know what's going on anyway. So, yeah.
Or there are other options.
More on that next week.
So, talking about pornos. No, not really. What have we watched on television this week?
Oh,
no,
right.
certainly haven't.
Right.
Alexa, please stop. She's getting excited.
He has got all hot and bothered now.
I
Yeah.
haven't had that much excitement since 1993. So, Paul, it's time for the final segment of the show, which is what have we watched on television this week, Paul?
Sky at Night.
Well, I wasn't going to start with that.
Well, I just have.
We watched that. It was actually quite boring
It
this
was.
week.
What was it
this
about?
month.
Satellites.
Satellites. Actually, it kind of felt a little bit weird watching a programme talking about all of the billions of pounds that are spent on these satellite projects and us being in the situation that we're in at the moment, you know, not ours well, everybody in the country. It felt kind of slightly disgusting to talk about it, because you also look at those top scientists and those top engineers, and I mean, they get paid a lot of money to do what they do, and rightfully so, because they're highly qualified people. So I'm not trying to take anything away from those people earning a living. But it kind of felt all a little bit vile. You know, hard to swallow, put it that way. It sticks in your craw. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, and you know me, I'm a advocate of all of those kind of projects. I love all of that stuff. And I think it's amazing to learn more about the cosmos and blah, blah, blah. But there are people that can't feed their families or pay their mortgages. I'm not saying you've got to divert that cash to them, because that would be kind of impossible to do. But there are industries and sectors of society that are swimming in cash, yet the government can't help people out. And there's no help for people in the middle, you know. I mean, there's this idea that in the future there will be a universal benefit, not universal credit, that's a different thing. Only certain people.
Universal income.
A universal income that everybody will be paid regardless of your status, regardless of whether you're in work. And they're trialling this at the moment to see what the outcomes would be if that happened for a year.
I think there's 2 trials that they're doing in the UK at the moment.
And they're private trials, privately funded. They're not government funded, but the results will go to government to show what happened. And it's basically to see whether people would use that money to just laze around, or whether they would use it to further their careers or find work. And I think they're paying people £1,600 a month. And it's an interesting idea. You know?
I think it's interesting, because that is well above the threshold for paying tax. So what's it, 1,600, once that'd be 16,000, 17,000, 18,000, 19,200 pounds, that is.
So they would have to adjust tax threshold, or you'd pay tax on it.
Or you'd pay tax on it. So that's what I mean.
Means,
tax and national insurance on it.
Yeah.
Which of course is what happens with
benefits.
Universal income and benefits at the moment.
It's taxable
It's
benefit.
taxable, yeah.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see that, certainly.
Well,
I thought the most interesting thing in Sky at Night was them getting this thing to take
space debris.
Take down space debris.
But just to go back to this universal benefit idea, I'm trying to think how I would feel. I think I would want to continue to work, but I think it would give one a feeling of being able to pay your bills and your rent or your mortgage, still have money to spend, so you're still putting money into the economy. That money's going back into the economy, essentially, in this country. Would that fuel inflation?
Possibly. I mean, I think one of the big issues, I'm getting into politics, but I think one of the big issues that we have is so much of the UK, quite a large proportion of the UK, the services and industries are now owned by companies that are not based in the UK, that when profits are made, those profits are taken out of the country.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of talk about inward investment, about money coming back in, but actually it never quite balances it out as far as I can see.
Well, I mean, look at the energy companies. They're owned by France.
Well, exactly, yeah.
Railways, Italy and Spain.
But particularly when you look at those industries, you look at the rail, you look at power generation, you know, they're so heavily subsidised already by the government, the UK government, and other governments do that around the world as well, that to then not to make a profit and not be able to pay back that subsidy, or not pay back that subsidy, doesn't seem right to me. You know, I mean, I think the biggest fueler of inflation in the last sort of 8 months has been what Jeremy Hunt did, where he allowed the energy companies to basically profiteer. Because what should have happened is they should have brought down the price cap. The government should have capped the price cap.
Blah, blah, blah. Let's move on.
Well, you got me into it.
I know, but it was interesting. I thought the viewers might like that discussion. So, we continue with Glow Up, and we've kind of got into it now.
Yeah.
But I still can't remember her name. Is it Sandra?
Don't know. I don't know the presenter's name.
What's her name?
I don't know.
His name is Dom.
Is it?
Her name is...
Dominatrix?
Jan?
I don't
Jane?
know.
Sandra?
I don't know.
Joan?
Don't know.
I can't remember.
Jilly?
But we got into it
Jennifer.
now, and we're quite enjoying it. Although some of the contestants are a little bit annoying.
But it's an entertainment programme, isn't it?
A little bit victim-y, some of them, aren't they?
So they, you know, that's how they're chosen.
Yeah.
You know, it's not 10 of the, you know, it's 10 of the best, but it's chosen to create entertainment.
It's a good show, and it's kind of, you know, in terms of its formula, it kind of gives you the same thing each time, doesn't it? Like a bit like Drag Race does.
Well, like all of these entertainment shows.
Yeah, exactly. Which I guess we like those patterns, don't we?
We
as
do.
humans.
Yeah. But
We
I
like
think they
our
can get bored.
formulas.
They can get boring.
Yeah, they can. So we also started a new show called The Night Agent.
Yeah, on Netflix.
The Night Agent.
Which I've been wanting to watch for quite a while.
It's good. It's good.
Richard said, I know when you meant
Well, it's another of your action shows where people are shooting people and killing each other and bombs and things.
It's a political thriller,
It's
basically.
good. Really, really good.
We're enjoying it. What we are doing, or what I am doing, is I am giving us just one episode. We're not binging on it.
No.
We're binging as in every day, usually every day we're watching an episode. But we're not watching 2 or 3, so only one a day. Enjoying it very much.
Yeah, very much. So recommended. Recommended. Characters are quite good, although she's a bit annoying.
Well, I think that is her
girl.
character.
Yeah,
that
she's
is her,
annoying.
because she wants to get to the nub of things.
But I quite like the... What's her name?
The
What's her
with
name?
the silver hair.
I don't know what her name is. Is it Pamela? No.
We're
I
not
can't
very good with
remember.
names.
But yeah, she's good. I like her. So yeah, we continue with Father Brown as our lunchtime special.
It was quite dark, the one we watched today.
Yeah. But I was trying to analyse why we like it so much, because we're not religious.
No.
So it's not driven by religion, it's driven by character.
Mm.
Mrs. McCarthy, favourite character, Buntier and Felicia. Love them because they're strong characters and well acted. And good stories.
Good stories,
Yeah.
good stories. There was one story I was absolutely sure there was going to... It was a locked room one, you know, where murder took place in a locked room. and we saw this guy rattling the door at the beginning, and it's locked, and got the newspaper, poked the key through the other side of the keyhole, it fell onto the newspaper, pulled
Which
it
is
through.
a popular method used by many people in Father Brown, and as Sister Boniface
And
episode
Sister
the other
Boniface, yeah.
day as well.
And I did say to Richard, I think I know what it is, and I thought it was going to be that the door wasn't actually locked, but in fact in this one it was. So
Were you right?
I was wrong.
Oh. So
Really
we have
wrong.
watched a few more Sister Boniface as well.
Yeah.
And it's weird because we're filming. It's weird because there are comedic elements and sometimes it comes across as being too light.
Yeah, I think so.
And some of the fantasy sequences that she experiences are a little too long. So, yeah, I mean, I do enjoy it, but it's not my favourite.
I sort of, it feels like a slightly cheaper Father Brown,
Yeah.
which I think it actually is, but I don't know.
So this
Still
week's...
made by the BBC, I think.
Yeah, blah, blah,
Yeah.
blah. Moving on. This week's Question Time was a Brexit special.
Oh, Brexit boredom special.
Yeah. So not as good as usual. It was based in Clacton-on-Sea, which was one of the highest votes for Brexit to leave the European Union.
Second highest in the country.
And they wanted to compare the situation now as to whether people had changed their minds. Because there's a lot with Brexit that isn't yet resolved, which is still causing issues. Because it was all done based on lies.
Yeah,
Yeah.
basically.
So let's not talk any further about that.
Fact is fact.
Yeah. That's the extent of our televisual experiences
Is it?
for this week.
Oh,
yeah.
right.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
Other than that, we've eaten food. I've upped my calories a little bit because I've been feeling a little in need of extra energy.
So I've been giving him 2 pitta rather than 1.
Yeah.
And have you been having more fruit and nut and things like that?
Yeah, I've just been trying to... I think the heat sort of saps you of energy.
Yeah, it does.
And I
Absolutely.
do find in this kind of weather I need more calories.
Yeah.
You know,
I was
maybe
myself...
a little extra salt.
Well, yeah, well, that's why I've been putting... I think at this time of year, I do put salt on... Because we're buying tomatoes, buying cucumbers at the moment. We've got
So
our own
nice.
lettuce.
The
So
lettuce is delicious, Paul.
Thank you. So I'm putting a bit of salt, a grinding of salt on that. So
Love salt
yeah.
on tomatoes. Oh, and when I'm grilling them, what I used to do was use a little bit of salt and a little pinch of sugar too.
Very clever.
That's why they used to taste so good.
There we are. And on Wednesday, I was extremely hungry, wasn't I? I had a gastroscopy.
Oh boy, a little gastroscopy.
I did.
And I saved the day by going to pick him up in the car. Wasn't I generous?
Yeah, you were.
Because I paid £3.10.
For parking.
£3.10
Anyway, we're not talking
to
about
park
that.
to pick him up for his gastroscopy.
So I've had several before because I've got Barrett's esophagus, which I take medication to help the acid in my stomach because Barrett's can turn into cancer of the esophagus. So one's trying to sort of push that as far sort of back in decades as one can. And I've had several of these. I have them every 18 months to 2 years. But the last one wasn't that great. I was sort of retching quite a lot with it. So this time I had sedation, which is why I needed to be collected. And they did say to me that you'll sort of know you won't be out completely, but you'll sort of know what's going on. And I have to say, I thought I was sort of aware of everything that was going on, but it was only about 7 o'clock in the evening. I realised I think I've virtually been out for the whole thing, and I woke up in the what do they call it, recovery area, because I don't remember being wheeled out in the trolley and things. But yeah, and my throat was sore, as you know, when you've got that pipe going down your throat and into your stomach and all of that. You know, it's sore. You know, even though they give sprays and things like that. But everything was fine. Well, I mean, I haven't had the results of the biopsies yet. There were quite a lot of biopsies taken, but the whole, you know, I don't have a sore throat now, is what I'm saying. So yeah, and I have to say, yet again, I've just been. So many people complain about Ealing Hospital and the NHS. My experience of Wednesday was fab. So yeah. Good on NHS. If only it was funded by the government properly, it would be even better. Yeah.
I would always opt for sedation.
Yeah, it was funny. It's the first time I had.
Always lovely.
And the person said, "Are you sort of wary of needles?" And I said, "No, I'm fine with needles. So I don't like playing with them, but I'm fine with you sticking them in me." So
they don't bother me these days. Although I don't like to watch when you have a blood test.
Oh, I don't like to watch it on other people. I don't like that.
But I don't mind them. I mean, they're so fine.
Oh, they are.
The
Absolutely.
needles now that you don't feel that. I don't think they hit the nerves.
No.
You know, because they're very fine. Unlike when we were children.
Absolutely, they were like a size of a gun barrel. Yeah.
Knitting needle. Frankly. So,
Oh dear.
all that remains for me to do is to lube up my lips and move
Exciting. Oh, I see. Right. Okay. Yeah.
Disgusting, Paul. So that's it for this week's Sunday chat.
Sunday chat.
It is. I hope you're all well and enjoying your summer activities, whatever you're doing.
Or winter activities.
Or winter activities. I know, I can't get my head around that.
It is a bit bizarre,
Other
isn't
people
it?
down the other side are in the winter.
You know, Carol Ann is mostly sort of making stews and things like that, isn't she?
I think it's great. Nice, different, unusual. No, I think it's amazing, isn't it? Really, how the world works, how the solar system works.
It is incredible.
All whizzing around.
It is. I mean, what we're spinning at 16,000 miles an hour or something, aren't we?
17,000 miles an hour.
I
That's
mean,
why if the world stopped,
we'd all...
everything would be just flattened instantly. I know.
And the sun's going through a polar shift, isn't it? Or
It's going through its solar maximum.
Solar maximum at the moment, so that's all sort of like whirling and turning.
I saw a graphic the other day about how we imagine, the solar system with the sun in the middle and the planets going round, but actually it's going through space like that. It's like a big spiral.
Through the Milky Way. And then the Milky Way itself travelling through.
Yeah.
It's extraordinary.
So much so that there's a sort of shockwave behind all of it.
Really?
Yeah, there's a shockwave behind the Earth and the Sun, Yeah. It's moving through.
Fascinating. Yeah.
Amazing. Look at the things that you learn here on Richard and Paul. Remember, if you want it all, watch Richard and Paul. We're going now.
I need to go and water the plot.
I need to go and water the pan.
Water the pan?
Point Percy at the porcelain.
I
need a wee.
Oh dear.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you were talking about pan au chocolat. I don't know why I thought you were
Water the
talking
pan au
about...
chocolat. That's even worse. The connotations, Paul.
Oh dear.
Disgusting.
Deary me. Bananas.
Bananas.
Right.
Take care.
Toodle pip.
Toodle pip, au revoir, bienvenue, willkommen.
And the thing is, it's that thing when you're sort of coming home and you're desperate for a pee. The closer you get to your front door, the more that urgency sort of drives you. You have to stop thinking about it.
If you want to hold it in.
Yeah. There was one occasion where I failed. I got to the door and put the key in the door, and it was like,
Oh, I remember
no.
many, many years ago as a teenager getting very drunk, walking home in snow and ice, dying to go for the loo, and I just stood there and let go. And I can remember the warm flush down my legs.
Yeah. If it's snow and ice,
It was
and
just,
things,
it was divine.
yeah,
It's lovely. My parents weren't very happy
I'm sure not.
because I was underage for a start.
Oh,
It was after a school play.
underage to. Oh, I see. For drinking, yeah.
What did
Oh,
you
right.
think I meant?
I thought you meant peeing in your pants. I thought, when are you ever underage, you're peeing in your pants.
Paul, how ridiculous.
I know. I couldn't. It didn't quite.
Oh,
Yeah.
Sister Ridiculata. Crikey. Bye now. We're going.
Bye.
Love. See you soon, love. Take care.
Bye.
Bye for now.